if I'm not mistaken. Fellow Toastmasters, it's my, I don't know, 5th, 6th meeting. Thank you for having me. I am enjoying the club and the meeting. The topic is very relevant to what I am interested in and doing in my life. And I'm happy to be with you, and thank you for having me as well. So back to you.
Thank you. We have Louis. Louis is also, I think, has just filed his membership.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, submitted from yesterday. Everything.
Yep. I saw the paperwork. So maybe I know that you're a member, and so we want to give a quick one-liner. So we're hoping to hear your icebreaker very soon. But can you give us a quick one-liner introduction? Because we'll have a detailed introduction later anyway.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is my, I guess, 3rd meeting as a guest. Technically, I don't become a member until April 1st, but a little bit about me to everybody at Toastmasters is, my name is Louis. I grew up in the Bay Area, went to school in San Luis Obispo, and now just kicking off my career and, hoping to become a better speaker from learning from all of you guys. So thanks, Arun.
Right. And our next guest is Samuel. Samuel, would you like to introduce yourself? Samuel? Okay. Well, moving on. So today, our Toastmaster is going to be me. And our topic of the day is the Control-Alt-Delete. So to give you a quick introduction of why I chose this, particular topic was that since it's at the end of the quarter, and was originally inspired by the idea of what to do in the middle of something. I mean, you need to take a quick step back. And normally what I've seen is that the first quarter, sort of the euphoria of the new year kind of dies down. You're kind of getting into the mode of the current year. It's not new, but it's spring, so you do have a sense of renewal that's already there. And so Control-Alt-Delete was a tool that a lot of Windows PCs use, that you could do a soft reset and everything would restart. And that was what I was thinking of when I suggested that we should consider this new quarter as a soft reset and sort of step back a little bit, not quite turning things off and then rebooting everything, but just to sort of step back and reset. And I hope that when you walk away from this meeting today, you will reset, you take a step back, you take a little breath, and then take stock of your situation. Hence, Control-Alt-Delete. So to get things moving, we need to fill out some roles as chat round. So if you'll just give me a moment here. Oh dear. Okay. So I need to fill up some roles here that we have missing, and our first duty master is going to be, we need an out counter.
Do that.
Hello?
Yeah, Xana can do this.
Okay, thanks, Xana. Would you tell us what an out counter does?
Indeed. So today I will be our ah counter, looking for filler words, ahs, ums, you knows, just to let you know what your status is. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Xana. Our next duty master is the timer, and our timer is Weiming. Weiming, would you tell us what does the timer do?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, my function as timer is to operate this clock in one of the grid views. And I believe there are going to be 3 speeches. And the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, the green light will come on, the 6 minutes, the yellow, and then at 7, the red light will come on, and speaker has 30 seconds to finish. Evaluation is 2 to 3 minutes, and then table topics 1 to 2 minutes. I'll report the time at the end of the meeting, Mr. Toastmaster.
Right. And the other thing that I wanted to point out is you pointed out that there's a second speaker. I only have 2 in my confirmation. So I have Jose and Wai Ming. Do you know who the second speaker is?
Am I speaking today?
You can if you wish.
Well, it's up to the Toastmaster, right? Because I'm the backup speaker.
Okay. So, I mean, Georgie, I mean, we can always have a third speaker.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So I'm number 3?
We'll do number 2.
I'm sorry, I'll be which one?
The second speaker.
2nd, got it. Okay.
Okay. Okay. And the next role is a word master.
Excuse me.
Sorry, go
Excuse
ahead.
me, Arun. I thought Wai Ming is second speaker.
Wai Ming's on the third speaker.
Oh, Wai Ming is third speaker.
Yeah.
You moved him. Oh, okay.
I didn't move him. It was already there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
you can always
I-
slot yourself.
You can always
Okay.
slot yourself, right? And word master is Jose. Jose, would you tell us what is the word of the day and what will you do as word master?
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. Our word for the day is cohesion. It's a noun, a tendency to keep together. For example, his insulting comments tend to disrupt the cohesion of the group. Synonyms would be union or solidarity. Use it in your speech, and I will track it and report your usage of the word at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose. Our next role is grammarian. We do need to fill that up. Do we have a volunteer? Any volunteers?
Either
Yeah.
George or I, looks like, are willing.
I can be grammarian.
Okay, Georgia, can you please be grammarian?
Sure. Okay. The role of grammarian is to listen to our speeches and highlight things that I think are interesting that people are using, good uses of the English language, and also to bring up areas where I think we might need some improvement. I'll report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Georgie. Our next role is the ballot counter. Normally, Hannah is our ballot counter. She sends out our current president, but she's not here. So I'll take that role. I will be sending out a ballot in the next few minutes, the link to a Google survey thing, and where you can vote for the best speaker, best evaluator, and best table topic. And at the end of the meeting, I will announce the winners of the best speaker, the winners of the meeting. Thank you very much. And our video master is, I will be your video master today. As video master, my job is to record the meeting. And I will be, once the meeting has ended and I've processed it, I will be uploading it to a YouTube channel. Now, please, if you do not wish to be recorded, please let me know so that I can pause the recording. And then we can resume it once the meeting, once your speaking slot is complete. So with that, I would now want to move on to our prepared speeches. And,
1 second, 1 second,
oh,
1 second.
I'm sorry. Yes, I do realize what we're about to say.
Good.
We do need to pair up all our evaluators as well. So I believe I am an evaluator today for speaker, for our first speaker, Jose. So I will be evaluating Jose. And our second speaker is Georgie. Do we have a volunteer who can evaluate Georgie? Loudon, would you like to take a role in terms of evaluator?
Maybe not today.
Okay. Any other volunteers? Zena, can you, okay, great. And I need an evaluator for Wyoming. Any evaluators? Okay, Georgie can evaluate Wyoming. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to our prepared speeches. Our first speaker is going to be Jose. Jose has spoken on a number of topics. He has spoken a lot about marketing, about sales, and of course, he's done a lot of speeches on physical and spiritual well-being. And today, his topic is going to be about physical well-being.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster Haroon. Everybody see my screen? Everybody see? Right, the slides, yes, good. Okay, so this speech is the second part of my 6-part series on meditation well-being. I'm going to cover the 6 elements, and towards the end, there will be some kind of a cohesive explanation for all of them. The first part was spiritual well-being, where people are encouraged to develop their belief system as a basis for their behavior. And now I'm moving on to physical well-being, which is, as shown on the slides, the way you manage yourself and how you relate to the physical world. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Okay. All right. So the book source, but there's several sources to this, but the major source is the Waking Up to the Fifth Dimension by Maureen St. Germain. It basically goes through stages of personal development, from being aware with yourself, being aware with your social connections, and finally integrating it to everything everything in your world, being expanding your consciousness and how you relate and how you fit in to the world in a step-by-step process. So, but for me, this is my interpretation. There's different ways of interpreting physical well-being. I made it simpler. I made it simple. I use the acronym EDIT, meaning editing yourself. The first letter meaning exercise, second diet, third income, and finally transfer. And how would you remember such a thing? Remember yourself as you wake up in the morning. Think of waking up and moving, right? That's exercise. You have to eat because you haven't eaten for 8 hours. So that's food, or in a better word, managing food, your diet. And then later on, you have to step again into your computer, be productive, think about that as income. And finally, from all your efforts, something has to move. You must have something. So there is transfer of things that you desire for yourself or for others. So that's one way of thinking of how we should manage our physical world. First, let's start with exercise. And I'll go through a few pointers. There's different ways of doing exercise. There's different ways of doing it. And there's different interpretations on how it should be done. But it boils down to interval training, basically going from aerobic to weights and back and forth, right? There are different ways of doing it. And so I'm the more lightweight, high aerobics kind of person, and there's a different mix for everyone. And this is something you would want to consider for yourself. What kind of interval training, what kind of sessions you would like to do, and do that research. Snack, there's a few more other things like snack 1 hour before, warm up before you stretch. A lot of you may know this. Work on muscle groups also. And I found out that these 4 elements, if you get it all right, pretty much summarizes what we should do for ourselves in terms of exercise. Then think about diet. And this is something I learned from doctors actually. He said, really, diet boils down to no salt, no sugar, and no fat. And what you see in the slide is actually a very popular cookbook. And if you go to that rule, you revert to eating fruits and vegetables, less meat, and cutting down on your soda just by thinking that way. So if you summarize it that way, you will be very, very productive, very, very choosy in the way you pick your food, and you'll be successful. And the other thing also is to replace your snacking habits. It's called snacking habits. We do tend to snack when we're depressed, we're watching TV. You have to cut down on those and replace your behavior with that, like reading, walking, listen to the audiobooks. Consider those. And finally, income. Income is summarized in my presentation here, basically with having a very, very rigid affirmation in sticking to your to-do list. And how do you do that? By having a journal. A journal is comprised of 3 elements: affirmations, things that you want to do, things that went wrong, and things that you are thankful for. If you make that kind of a journal, you always naturally correct yourself every day. So do journals, do your to-do list, and pretty much you will cover some kind of progress in your life. And when you do make progress, celebrate that progress. And finally, transfer. Transfer is creating your world. Now, when you create your world, it's really, one way of putting it is creating your own castle, right? Is your fantasy. You may not make it, but like I said, celebrate whatever you achieve. Be orderly and creative. Use journaling again. Identify things that you're grateful for as you go along, and look forward to life, building something that you're really proud of, and build your own little castles along the way. And so basically, to summarize, to keep it really simple, get started, keep moving, be selective what you eat, keep record of your progress, and create your own castle. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose. Now, if you could take a minute or two to write some feedback and give Jose some feedback. I'd like now to welcome Georgie, who will be talking about loon shots. Georgie has been giving a lot of speeches. She's often a backup speaker, and she has spoken extensively on innovation, on finance, on personal finance, and given a lot of great tips on how to organize your financial life. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Georgie.
Today, I'd like to talk about a book I just completed reading called Loon Shots: How to Nurture the Crazy Ideas That Win Wars, Cure Cultures, and Transform Industries. It's by Safi Bakal, whose background is as a physicist, but he moved into becoming an entrepreneur as a co-founder and CEO of a biotech company that develops new drugs for cancers. Based upon his scientific background and his business background, he has developed this concept that he has coined as loon shot. It is defined as a neglected and widely dismissed ideas, but these ideas can transform the world. But loon shot champions are often written off as basically crazy people. I'm sure we all know somebody who fits a description like this. There are 5 laws of loon shots as he defines them. I will go through each one of these, so don't worry, you don't have to read the whole slides. And we will start off with laws 1 and 2 because they're kind of grouped together in my mind. Law 1 is expect the 3 deaths. Law 2 is mind the false fail. When he says 3 deaths, he means that when you have these crazy, world-changing possible ideas, they are so radical and so cutting edge that it's going to look like as you're making progress to having this idea become something in reality, that it's going to look like it's totally failed at least 3 times, at least. So when this does happen, take stock, realize that maybe it's a failure, but maybe you just don't quite understand what's going on quite yet. For example, he brings up the testing and development that was done of statins. Now, we use statins today to keep cholesterol down. They're a very popular drug. But 20, 30 years ago, this was completely unheard of, a drug that can control cholesterol. While it's being developed, when the scientists tested it initially on lab rats, on mice, saw no change in the cholesterol of the mice. He didn't understand why. He was afraid that maybe the whole idea was just never going to work. Then he decided to test it on chickens. Turns out that he saw a big drop in the cholesterol levels for the chickens. Why? Well, we didn't know a lot about cholesterol back in the days because, like I said, this was very cutting edge research he was doing. Turns out that there are 2 types of cholesterol as we know today. We've got LDL and HDL, the good and the bad cholesterol, right? So the LDL, the quasi-good cholesterol, that's what mice tend to have. So the statins didn't do anything to their good quality cholesterol. However, chickens have a lot of the HDL. So the statins did make a big difference on the chickens themselves. Once again, very cutting edge research. Law number 3, listen to the suck with curiosity. All right, now this one sounds a little weird, I understand. The idea is that when your idea is so cutting edge and you tell somebody about it, the first thing that comes back mostly is reasons your idea won't work. And people will give you a long, long, long list of ideas why your idea will not work. The thing is, when you are so cutting edge, the initial concept is very strange and often doesn't look anything like what the final product is going to look like. He defines this as the concept of ugly babies. The baby looks nothing like what it's going to look like as a beautiful adult. The perfect example of this is Pixar. They made some of the greatest movies out there, but if you were to look at the first draft of these scripts that Pixar put together, they were ugly babies with warts. And if you had read it, you might have been tempted to tell the artists developing these scripts that they ought to literally strangle the baby in the crib, right? Don't give it a chance. Don't even try a second draft. Doesn't gonna work. Now, Pixar has realized in dealing with artists that artists are better at getting criticism from fellow artists versus non-fellow artists, because fellow artists understand the creative process. They understand that getting information back, feedback can be difficult from people who don't understand the creative process and can be a little harsh about stuff, where other artists provide better and maybe more thorough criticism, at least in the minds of the artists listening to the criticism. That's what he means by listening to the suck with curiosity. So the artist will get feedback from other artists and listen, but maybe not from others. They will listen instead to the suck with animosity. So try to listen with curiosity instead. Law number 4, forget culture when you're trying to create innovation in an organization. Create an innovative structure instead. Once again, going back to the concept of trying to do innovation within a company, usually you'll have 2 different sides of the company. One is the boring, plodding side of the company that gets product out each week, each month, each year, on time, no drama, just gets it done with really good customer reviews, hopefully. The other side of the house is the R&D side of the house. That's the world-changing ideas, but nobody's going to pay you for these world-changing ideas yet, and they're too crazy and out there. But you need both sides of this company in order to make it work. Apple is a really good example of this, and especially Steve Jobs very early in his career. Steve Jobs really associated with people who broke rules. He loved that. And he wanted to be that type of artist-like person breaking the rules. He described Apple as having 2 types of people in it. The privateers, the people who broke the rules, who were constantly going into new territories. And then you had the regular Navy, the guys who plodded along and made sure the company made money week after week after week after boring week. He didn't really care for that side of the company. In fact, in his early days, he actually made fun of the people who worked on that side of the company. He learned his lesson in life that you need to appreciate both sides of this structure you're trying to build. Whoops. And law number 5, be a gardener, not a Moses. When you get to somebody like a Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk, when these guys start to say something, people listen. They really listen, to the point where even their casual observations or opinions of something are talking as if it's a law from God, and that's the way the world is. Instead of being judge and jury on ideas, basically being the Moses type character, he suggests instead being a gardener. Have a lot of different ideas that you're testing and developing, and let each one of these grow individually in their own way of growing. Now, the big problem you run into is, like I said, you've got an organization like a company, you're trying to do both things really well. You want to take this cutting edge, world-changing research and bring it from the lab into the real world and sell as a product. In order to do that, you need to understand that there are kind of phases of the organization itself to transition from the incubator to the real world. You need to have cohesion between both sides of this company. A company that did that really, really well was AT&T. They're well known for having Bell Labs create world-changing science that was then put into products that AT&T sold around the world. A company that did this terribly was Xerox. Xerox is well known for having invented the GUI and the computer mouse. Xerox did not make money off of those things. Instead, other companies did, because the people controlling the flow of products were the people who were the kind of, as Steve Jobs might say, the slow plodding type people who didn't see the advantage to maybe losing out on sales and revenues on their current products by doing these world revolutionary products. As a result, the people in the R&D labs realized their ideas weren't ever going to become products and left to go to other companies who ended up developing these amazing ideas. All in all, in summary, we're going to do a tilde here. You know, too long didn't read, but in case with my speech it was maybe a till-dill, too long didn't listen. In summary, I want you to get 2 points. 1, loon shots are widely dismissed ideas that can change the world, but whose champions are often written off as crazy. Pro tip with respect to this particular book: skip the 10 hours of explanation and anecdotes. Just listen to the 12-minute appendix if you don't have time to go through it all. Thanks.
Thank you, Georgie. Feel like take a minute or 2 to get some feedback to Georgie. Our next speaker is Wai-Ming. Wai-Ming is a champion speaker, has been a longtime member, and has been speaking for nearly every week since the last year. And this, I believe this is the second year of doing, trying to speak every week. So please, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Wai-Ming.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I only speak because you guys don't speak. So today I'm going to share with you the first of 3 hand configurations that I'm going to be talking about. So this hand configuration looks like this. Is the grip. I learned this in my first year in college. This is how you hold the fencing blade in your hand, on your right hand. I'm a right-hander. The blade is the extension of the hand, and you can move the wrist to control the direction of the blade, and you move your arm and leg to drive the blade to your target. So that's how that works. And most of the time I would train, and any fencer would train, to control the wrist, the body, the arm, and so on. To score, I have to hit the target. And in order to do that, I have to attack. But usually when I attack, the other guy is much faster and I get hit. And that's the way it goes. Because they practice a lot more than I did. I didn't have that much time to practice. But if I get hit a lot, then I'm afraid to move. I just, I don't want to move, otherwise I'll get hit. And only when I get the courage to try to move. But usually when I move, I get hit. But only in a moonshot of trying to move that I even get a hit sometimes. And that's the way it usually goes. And my fencing career is very short, but I learned a lot from it. The other aspect to fencing is the direction of the blade. And wherever you move is, you use the wrist to control the blade. I am going to mix this with life. So between life and blade, wherever, so in fencing, you move along the strip, and you go, and you only go in one direction. You go against your opponent. In life, you can point anywhere. I can point all 360 around me, up and down, but I have to align the blade with my body. If I don't, it gets messed up. If I point my blade down, I'm not, I want to move down. I can't move because my feet are on the floor. I can't go anywhere. That usually happens when I'm afraid to move or I'm taking it easy or something else. If I point my blade up, I can go up, I can jump, but I come back down. That's like chasing after some fantasy. I do that a lot of times as well. If I point my blade back without looking back, I do that sometimes as well. That's like taking my whole paycheck and investing it in buying the lottery ticket, hoping that something that I do not control would give me my fortune. But that's, sometimes we do that as well. The best way to align ourselves is when we're parallel to the ground. The blade is pointing forward, and we align the body, and the body hides behind the blade because you have to protect yourself. Otherwise, you get hit. You don't want to get hit. You want to minimize that, but you want to be able to hit. So that's the nature of life. But but sometimes I might run into a wall. And if I run into a wall, I have to change direction. But to change direction, it takes a lot of work because I have to realign my hand and change my body and really have to retrain to a different direction. But that's, sometimes you have to do that. Cannot do that too often, but sometimes you have to do that. So a fencer's blade is the extension of his hand. And I as a fencer have to train my hand to control the blade. I have to practice and train to align my body with the blade in order to drive forward, to even get a chance. And I have to take action to actually move to even get any possibility of getting a hit. And I only get a few hits. And most of the time, I get hit myself. But that's the way it goes. My life is like the blade. I have to read this because I can't remember. And my life is like a blade, controlled by my thinking and actions. I have to train my thinking and actions and align my life with those things in order to even get some results. There's no guarantee that I will get some results. Training is the key. My guess is most successful people like Elon Musk train all the time. I continue to train. Next time I'll talk about thinking. But in terms of actions, how do I take actions? I follow Martin Luther King. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. You can't walk, crawl. No matter what, you move. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Wei Ming. If you can take a minute or two to give some feedback to Wei Ming. At this point, we're now going to go into the evaluation section of our meeting. And as I will be general evaluator, and I'd like to first invite our first evaluator, who will be evaluating Jose, and that's me. So thank you, Jose, for that amazing speech. I really liked your speech. I thought that your speech hit all the correct things that I look for in a topic. One, it had a great slogan, the acronym EDIT. I thought that was something that the fact that you came up with it was really interesting because it really illustrated how personal this topic is to you. I also thought of it as a good symbol that, we're constantly editing things in our lives. And so that was something that you could actually use as a symbol. And the fact that what was surprising to me was the fact that how much of it you've incorporated that into your personal life, because you've taken a lot of these sources and put them together in one coherent, in a cohesive manner. And I thought that was that illustrated first your interest in the topic, your deep experience in it, and how well you could actually articulate all these concepts to an audience. The one thing that I would want to ask you to do is that when you're talking about all of these topics, one, that you put your sources up front. So you mentioned that you had a source, you had the fifth dimension, and then you brought in the cookbook that you were using to illustrate that, where you were getting your ideas about diet. I think it's always a good idea to acknowledge all your sources up front, and then to say that, because what that does is that it actually tells you that conveys a lot of expertise in a topic and establishes you as an authority on the subject. So maybe you might want to consider saying, hey, these are all my sources. This is what I researched them. The other thing that I would also urge you to do is to use a personal story to sort of illustrate why you got into this area. What was that thing that surprised you and to lead you into those steps? And I think that would actually wrap up the whole idea that you had in a one cohesive manner. And I think that would really help increase the impact of your stories. I'm really looking forward to the next couple of speeches that you're going to make about, you mentioned that you had a six-part series that you want to make, and that would be really great to actually hear as well. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to your next speech. Our next evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, is going to be Zaina, who will be evaluating Georgie.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. I'd like to begin with Georgie. You are fantastic at this kind of speech. Like book reviews, I think you have absolutely nailed, right? And you have decent vocal variety all the way through. You know how to use your pauses. You use even the vocal range that you have very nicely. Also, I am continuously impressed by the number of books you seem to manage to read. I wish I was able to like pound those number of books. It's truly impressive. My other thought for you is that as you're going through these speeches, like I really do believe that this speech style is something that you have down. And so what I would love to see from you as you continue to go forward and continue to teach us these phenomenal things that you learn from the books is I would love to see a little bit more variety in your slides. I think as a presenter, there's a lot to be said about the way people perceive you. And I really think that inside of the slideshow is somewhere that you have an area for improvement on this. And so I want to show you this site real fast during my time here. I don't know if you've been to Slides Go before, but it is a website with free Google Slide and PowerPoint templates. And if you look through here, there are hundreds of templates, all of which have been designed by people who do graphic design for a living. You can come in here, you can choose the different styles, you can see, what it is that these look like, how they've been designed. And like I said, it's free. So if you click inside of them, you're able to come in and just download the template. Right? Like it's right here. Their money comes through the advertisement. So you'll notice there are several of those, but nonetheless, I really think using somebody else's graphic design experience that they put out on the internet for free for your use could really improve the quality of the slides that you're presenting. So I don't know if that's something that you're interested in, but I wanted to provide this resource to you. It's called slidesgo.com. There are a bunch of other resources on the internet that do essentially the same thing. And so I don't know if that's something you're interested in, but I know for me, it makes a big difference in the way it comes across professionally. Even just like the pathos ethos, I think, of the whole speech is increased by the presentation style. It's the same reason that we go over ums and ahs. It's the same reason that we go over hand gestures, right? So I have no feedback on your actual speech. I think it's phenomenal. I think you really have it nailed. So as a reminder, this is my best piece of advice to you. I think book reviews are something you are completely on top of. So congratulations on mastering this particular skill. And I really look forward to hearing another one from you.
Thank you. Thank you, Zaina. Our next evaluator is Georgie, who will be evaluating Wai Ming.
Yay. Hey. Thank you, my fellow Toastmasters, guests, and most especially Wai Ming. That was a wonderful speech you gave. Once again, tons of variety with all the speeches you do. I love the fact that you decided to get really physical with this one and just use your body and your words and the physical space around you in order to give a really great speech. I really enjoyed the idea of having the metaphor with fencing and life. I think you brought that together really well. I think the entire presentation was really good. You had really good lighting. The sound was excellent, even though you were moving around and stuff like that. I also enjoyed the way that you did everything so including your facial expressions. You were saying in the very beginning, for example, that you were scared to move because the other people were better than you because you didn't practice. And at that point, you kind of smiled a little. I thought this was really a nice way to be kind of self-effacing about maybe some of our little weaknesses, which is not maybe having enough time to do all the stuff we want in our life. let's see. There was a little something I didn't quite understand. Maybe I didn't understand what you were saying, which was only in the moonshot of trying to move. You sounded like moonshot. And since I just gave a speech on loon shot, I was like, I don't know if my brain is freezing on that concept. And I just don't know quite how moonshot reflected in the overall concept. So maybe, like I said, maybe there was just something with my brain not going on properly there. I like the idea of how you broke it up into basically the concept of the hand was important, the blade alignment was important, and how that all translated back to life, and how you said you were going to focus in the summary on action, and then you were going to talk about thinking in another speech. I thought everything was broken down really well and made quite clear. Let's see. Although, like I said, since there were those couple of points, like with the moonshot, I didn't quite understand. Maybe something could have made for me been a little clearer with respect to kind of what you were trying to say it, and then kind of repeat it again so I can understand. Like I said, I didn't quite get what moonshot meant and stuff like that. The other thing was you did have a tendency to look down at your notes, which understandable, it can be an issue with that. The other thing I would say is it looked like maybe you kind of tapped the computer a couple times because the camera got a little jerky. So my thought on that would be if notes are important to the speech, and especially if you're doing one that's very physical, I don't know what your space is that you're in there. Maybe you want to put something up on the wall or something. I don't know. So you can kind of look at the camera, and then look at the notes in the background versus looking down. Once again, I really am not certain what was going on with that. And you even called attention to the fact you were reading your notes toward the end as you had to read, especially the quote from Martin Luther King Jr. And I personally like it when people include quotes from very well-known people that tie in really well with the point they're trying to make. I mean, that's just kind of me. So I really liked the quote. I thought that was a nice way to end it and kind of summarize the talk. All in all, I thought it was a really good speech. And I like the fact, like I said, you kind of change things around, making it a much more physical speech versus the sitting down and in my case, like especially doing slides or something like that. So I really like that you were able to mix and match this time. I'm looking forward to your next speech.
Thank you. Thank you, Georgie. At this time, and now we are at our table topics. I'd like to introduce our table topic master, Zaina.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. I'm excited for the table topics today, which surrounds around, of course, our theme of Control-Alt-Delete. I tried to make a cohesive set of all of the different questions I have for you today, so I hope you enjoy them. The first is, as you know, Control-Alt-Delete has a number of different options available when you engage with it. One of which is the Task Manager, which tells you how your apps are behaving. If one task is taking up too much of your computer's effort, you can simply choose to end the task. So my question is, how do you know when it's time to end a task in your life, when it's taking up too much of your effort and time? Any volunteers? Go for it, Samuel.
I was going to say, to end the task, you could probably say that you had enough of doing the jigsaw puzzle because you found it too hard. And you tried to complete the bits, but you couldn't complete the bits. And it's also the same with multiply and maths and take away and adding and subtraction and that. And it's also with like working out money and balance, but it's like you saying you're giving up, but you can still keep on trying. And also it's like also working out money and balancing the change that you can get, and also getting the receipt, because if you don't get the receipt, it's like they've charged you so much. and basically it's like coming out the shop with no receipt, and because you don't know how much the thing cost and you didn't get any change back, and it's like you're being cheated or robbed.
Thank you, Samuel. All right, my next question. Another option that you have when you use Control-Alt-Delete is to switch users. Say if you're sharing a computer with your sister. That's something I did when I was growing up. Do you think the age of technology has changed the way that people think about sharing? Why or why not? Arun.
Yes, I think that technology has changed the concept of sharing considerably. I still remember that there was a time when, like you said, you had to share a computer. But now things have changed considerably, that even when you're, like, for example, you're watching TV, I've often observed that a lot of people will not just have a TV on, they'll be watching the same thing, but they'll all be glued to their own phones. A lot of families will have their own screens and watch the same shows. So in an age of personalized entertainment, social media, news feeds, the notion that we have to, the shared experience of shared media consumption has gone down completely. And I think that is also a big contributor to why people are hearing and looking at different things. They may be looking at the same thing, but they may be interpreting it differently. And I think that's something that everybody needs to start thinking about. And how do we curtail that sense? One thing that I think has changed now is the fact that a lot of people are doing all of these watch parties, and because we're so isolated, because we're not talking about them, I think that's an encouraging sign as well, that people can actually share their media, what they're consuming, and share it with other people as well. So that's something that's good. And I think COVID, this whole quarantine thing, is contributing and helping that area. Adam Toastmaster.
Well, thank you, Haroon. All right, my next question then. Another thing you can do here is you can lock your screen. But Control-Alt-Delete is not the only way that you can lock your screen. You could also push Windows L, which I personally use more frequently as a shortcut. What kinds of shortcuts have you found in your life recently? I'm calling someone. All right, Georgie.
All right, this isn't quite maybe a shortcut so much as it is just life is starting over again. I'm just thrilled. But the gym is currently open again. Yay, that one is so fun now that I can move again. The thing is that in order to go to the gym, I need to make a reservation, which I never did in the past. I just knew that certain hours were dead and I would go at those times and just, try to make certain I went in when it was not crowded. And nowadays you can't even do that. Kind of, you need to make the reservation, or you need to stand outside and wait for maybe 15 or so minutes and hope that you're in line because they only have a limited number of walk-in slots. So it isn't quite a shortcut as it is. Now I do have to schedule my gym time, where before I just went when I kind of felt like it and when I knew things were kind of down. So in a way, it's not as much a shortcut as it is a way to make my life a bit more structured than it was before. So I don't have quite the excuse of getting out of exercising as I did previously, since I have to make an appointment like a week in advance now. And if I think about canceling my appointment because I have to, otherwise I get charged $20 if I don't cancel the appointment. So now I have to really think how lazy I feel this particular moment and how guilty I feel about canceling my whole appointment. So in a way, this inconvenience has made me have to be more interested in my health and to be more truthful about why I am choosing to do something, or in the case of Jim, choosing not to do something. Am I just being lazy? Often it's just lazy. So with that, I've got a lot more cohesion in my life with this quasi shortcut. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Georgie. And I appreciated the work in of the word cohesion there. Very nicely done. All right, here's our last table topics question for the day. If your technology isn't working properly, the first thing you should do is turn it off and then back on again to restart the system. Do you think this is a good problem-solving method beyond just technology for other things in your life? Why or why not?
I'll take it. So if I understand correctly, so we're asking, like, if we turn off all the technologies and the facilities available today and we want to start a problem again or start again to solve a problem, the question is it solvable or is it achievable? I would say definitely yes. So we are all started from zero. So things started everything from zero. With the development of human knowledge, the development of the environment, I would say that fully development of the human knowledge from a sapiens into a human, and now we are trying to classify between artificial intelligence and human, and we are trying to identify another planet. All these are done without, all these are done with human development and the knowledge. The cohesive environment between the human and the other living beings, yes, that's a mother nature gift. We can redo everything just from a scratch without technology. Can we really ignore the technology? From my perspective, I would say definitely not. Can we fully believe what we have in our world today? I would say definitely not. So we have to find the sweet spot between these two extremes. With that, I definitely think, yes, we can all start from zero again in a sensible manner. The world is not just for human being, it's for every living beings. Over to Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much. I think that is our last table topics for today. Thank you everybody for providing such cohesive answers. I hope you appreciated my set of questions. I'd like to pass it back off to Haroon.
Thank you, Zaina. Those questions, I didn't think that Control-Alt-Delete would lead to such a very lead to so many creative questions on how to use these metaphors for the daily decisions that we have to make in our lives. So now we're going to come up to the general evaluation of our meeting, and according to our agenda, as general evaluator, I need to call on our duty masters, and our first duty master is the timer, and that is Wai Ming. How did we do on time, Wai Ming?
Mr. Toastmaster, I'm going to report the time. Jose spoke for 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Georgie, 9 minutes and 45 seconds. I spoke for 6 minutes. And I lost cohesion with the evaluation. I didn't time any of the evaluators. In any case, with table topics, Samuel spoke for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Haroon 142, Georgie 204, and then Gautam 143. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Wai Ming. As our next duty master is the grammarian, and our grammarian today would be Georgie.
Okay. Jose, when you started your speech, you seemed like you're struggling a bit. You said the way that you manage yourself. So just maybe get that first sentence in your head clearly and just get it together. It's probably good. Also, you also said being aware with yourself. That's maybe correct. I mean, I don't think anything's quite wrong with it. I'm just used to hearing being aware of yourself is where I'm used to hearing it phrased, but maybe that's something to do with the type of work you do with respect to wellness that I'm not aware of. Let's see. Step again into your computer. I think you meant like work on your computer, but maybe you're just doing it in a way to, I don't know. It made me think virtual reality. I'm reading virtual reality books too. Let's see. Samuel, it's like you're giving up, but you keep on trying. I just like the phrase. I thought that was very positive. Gautam, all things all started from zero, and the world is not just for human beings, but for all species. Once again, I really like the positivity and the phrasing of that. That was pretty much what I found for today, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you. Our next duty master is the word master, Jose. Jose, how do
Yes.
you use on words?
Thank you for thank you for yes, thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, Word Master. Several people used the word. I did. Haroon, Zanya, Georgie, Wai hope I didn't miss anybody, but that's what I record. Thank you very much.
And do we have a before we move on to the odd counter? Do we have a joke master today? I mean, do you have a joke? No.
Oh, I still just have the Olympic thing.
Okay. So well, let's move on to our odd counter report, and that is Zaina.
Thank you, Mr. Table Master. Table Master, yes, that's what I chose. Haroon, I have 2 ums. Jose, I had the use of the word so. You're not using the word I just used the word You also repeated one word once. Wai Ming, you also used so twice and had 1 repeat. Gautam, you repeated 1 word, but I did not write down which word that happened to be. Georgia, you used the word like. That seems to be a new one. I don't know if I've noticed that one before, but like, and then you had a repeated word as well. And I wasn't very good at tracking myself, although I'm certain I had several ums. So thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Or not, no, Mr. Toastmaster. General Evaluator. I'll land on it eventually.
Thank you.
Mr. General Evaluator, I can give you a joke if you want.
Sure, go ahead, Georgie.
Okay. This is a yo mama joke. So it's both, I guess, fat phobic and gender non-neutral. So yo mama is so fat, when she sits on an iPod, she makes it an iPad.
It took me a second to figure that out. But
Needs a visual, huh?
yeah. Okay, so I'm going to return control to, as general evaluator. I feel that for some reason I've become the judge and jury here, but I thought it was a great meeting. Lots of great speeches, lots of great topics. I thought that the table topics were amazing because Dana took the whole theme and just kind of expanded it. And all our duty masters, I think we kind of lost track on time, so we're going to try and make that up as we go along. So at this point, please remember to vote for best speaker, best evaluator. I've already sent out the link. If somebody doesn't have the link, please let me know so that I can post it again. And now I'm going to call on the guests. Elvira, would you like to give us some comments on how we did?
Well, thank you. It's really hard to add more command for the meeting because I am really always happy with the meeting, other topics and things. Always find something new to learn about and to train. And probably I would repeat the only suggestion I have, it's my personal probably thing. I would love to hear more personal stories. That's the way probably I connect to the topics. That's probably the only thing. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the meeting. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Louis, as your last day as a guest, would you like to give us a comment as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I say a lot, but besides that, I thought the meeting went really well. What I liked about this meeting that was kind of different from the other meetings is that, every speaker, had their own themes and metaphors that they tied in their speeches to life. Wai Ming with, controlling your destiny with with fencing. Jose with, taking control of your life with your diet and your conscious efforts to improving upon yourself little by little. Georgie discussing the dualities of life, and you can't really be on one, end or the other to get where you want. There's a need for balance to get where you want to be in life, whether it's at work or personal, whatever. And so what I'll say about this meeting is I love that I could leave this meeting today and take some lessons learned and kind of think about that for the rest of the day and the rest of the week. So yeah, that's my feedback for my last meeting as a guest. And then I look forward to, doing speeches, whenever I become an official member.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Louis. Samuel, do you have any comments for us? Okay. Samuel? Okay. I think that's, I don't think he's responding. So our next, so now it's time to announce the winners. So fellow Toastmasters, let's drum roll, please. Our best table topics master was me. I think that's got more to do with the nature of the questions than anything, but thank you. Our best evaluator, drum roll please, was, oh, that was me again. And our best speaker, drum roll, was Georgie and Jose. Well, thank you very much, everybody. That was a great meeting, and I think I'd like to close up with any kind of announcements that we have, and we need to fill up some roles as well for next week. Do we have any announcements? Georgie?
I'm trying to think of anything we got coming up. We do have we just had the area competition, and I think we're going to be doing the district level one in 3 weeks. I want to say like April 22nd, but I'm not sure about that time. Anyway, I can send out some information if you guys want to like support the people or listen to the award-winning speeches at that level and the table topics as well. Okay. The only other thing is we do need to make sure we get our dues in. Our membership today, I guess, is the last day of before dues are completely due. So dues start. Our next time frame starts on April 1st for the next 6 months, and that's about it. We do need to, the officers. We do need some things processed. Make sure we're up to date on things. Other than that, I think everything's good. As far as the members go, I haven't seen anything in particular to make sure the members know about, but I will, if I see anything, I'll send out something.
Okay.
One more thing for me. I don't know, but I can process Louis in because I've done Zanya before, so I'll process him.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. I think all the paperwork and dues are all in, so we just need to.
Yeah.
Well, okay, all the paperwork is in, all the dues for Toastmaster in, and we need to get our club dues, but Louis is already on that, so I'm sure it's on its way.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. So you'll get an email from me, Louis.
Yeah, so start thinking about your first
Okay.
speech, your icebreaker.
Yeah.
That's good.
That could be something that we do need speakers. Speaking of speaking slots, we do need speakers and evaluators for next week. So any volunteers? I can volunteer for one speech.
Volunteer as a backup, presuming Louis wants to take the icebreaker.
Okay.
Yeah, what does the icebreaker speech entail? Do I just tell you guys about myself?
Pretty much. I'll send you a link about it. The concept with icebreakers, it's an introductory speech. The idea is you talk about yourself, the one topic that you should know better than anybody else, so it doesn't make you nervous. No one can contradict you on anything. But you can kind of talk about anything you want, and I will send you a link to help you get started with that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll sign up for next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
I'll be Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jose. Do we have evaluators? We
I
need
can
evaluators.
evaluate.
Georgie.
Mhm.
And we need another evaluator.
Oh, so it's Louis gonna speak?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Wyman, can you be evaluator as well?
I could be evaluator.
Thank you. And we need a table topics as well. Any volunteer for table topics?
If no one does it, I could do it.
Okay. Okay. I think that's it. Well, thank you so much for joining, everybody. I really appreciate everyone's participation today. So I'm looking forward to your next speech for next week.
Varun. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, guys. Again.